Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about the 5 steps to avoid getting into student loan debt. This is part 2 of a 2-part series, so let's jump right into it. Now, another resource available to you is being able to get a grant or a scholarship. Now, grants are typically based on need. So you will actually hit certain qualifications in order to acquire those funds, or a scholarship, which is based on merit. Now, the merit-based scholarships, will be based on, your academic success or some other component, and you'll want to look through and apply for those. Spend the time to actually apply for those. I didn't do a great job doing that through school, but I do remember many people who applied for these scholarships and were able to have funds that help them through school, and it was something that may have taken them writing an essay or filling out a questionnaire or something like that, and it didn't take a massive amount of time typically. So you want to fill out a free application for federal student aid. You'll want to fill out a FAFSA, which usually, when you have an advisor, they'll advise that you do that right off the bat. But you'll want to keep that in mind because that will show the school what you qualify for, but also will open up opportunities in regards to those grants and scholarships. So if you haven't started college yet, and or you are a parent about to send your kid to college, you'll want to look into a college savings plan of some kind. Now, these plans have some benefits when it comes to taxation and growth, and some benefits there. And you want to look into how you can take care of those benefits so that you have yet another savings avenue, a savings approach that is favorable for your student or for you individually to utilize in going to school. So a qualified tuition plan like a 529 plan allows for you to invest in a college savings plan or a prepaid tuition plan. And the prepaid tuition plan allows you to invest in credits that can be utilized at a future date, assuming that college costs will continue to rise. And I prefer typically to go with the college savings plan because it allows you to invest in ETFs or mutual funds, and those seem more flexible, seem more like you have more engagement in how the investment does. And so with that, you have to look at which plan makes the most sense. And if you want to utilize that, you may want to also talk to a financial advisor who could tell you based on your plans which one works better for you. So with this, you'll want to look at 3 components. These 3 components are whether the plan is guaranteed. Now, with the future credits with the prepaid tuition plan, those can be guaranteed, but of course, if it's under a ETF or a mutual fund, those are not guaranteed. But that's the first component, is just figuring out, is this guaranteed? The second component comes down to if there is any residency requirements for you or the individual who'd be the recipient. Now, with that, oftentimes people don't know that there are restrictions, and so you have to look at, okay, what 529 plan do I want to get? And it's, is it state specific? And if it's state specific, is there any residency requirements? And then the third component really comes down to the plan fees, looking at how much it will charge you for that plan specifically. And they may have fees up front or fees over the period of actually maintaining that plan, but you want to know that so that you're not surprised. So looking at all these options, you're probably wondering, okay, should I buy a house and house hack it? Should I, go ahead and get my emergency fund going? Should I pay as I go? What should I use? What order should I go in order to ensure that I don't take on student loans? And so I broke this down into 5 steps. 5 steps in order to prevent getting into debt, into student loan debt during your college career. Now, the first one really comes down to emergency fund. As I mentioned at the beginning, making sure that you have that baseline $500 in an emergency fund. Now, if you get to that point, you've already paid tuition, you've already paid room and board, and you have all of your other expenses caught up, continue down that road so that you can follow those 4 steps in order to get at least 6 months of living expenses in a savings account. So the second step comes down to setting up a qualified tuition plan, or setting up a savings account that is designated for your educational costs. So this will allow you to have some savings going into college so that you are in the best place possible to cover those expenses as they come due, rather than utilizing student loans. So step 3 really comes down to applying for those grants or scholarships, going through that FAFSA system and making sure that you're taking advantage of anything and everything that is available to you in order to offset the cost of going to school. So the fourth component comes down to having a side hustle, having a way that you house hack your home, or you utilize your vehicle on a rideshare program, or you do something that allows you to have some side income coming in, even if you do wait tables otherwise, and trying to figure out how to offset those college expenses. Finding an employer as you're further along in your college career that will provide some kind of tuition reimbursement, who will allow you to get experience along the way so that you not only boost your income as you step out and become more competitive stepping out of college, but also in the meantime, being able to build up experience directly in the field that you want to operate in. Meanwhile, having an employer help out to offset the costs. So this is not a comprehensive list, but this is a starting point. This is a starting point for 5 components that you can focus on to prevent you going into student loan debt, for you to prevent contributing to that massive amount of student loan debt that's out there and the number of people who are saddled by those loans. So my call to action today is for you to take a look at your options. Figure out if any of these 5 options make sense, these 5 steps make sense to you in your college career to prevent you from joining the other 45 million people who are saddled with student loan debt. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you and enjoy your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.